Doing, guys? Give me a minute. Give me a second, not a minute. Not a minute. Let me turn this down right here. Pray everyone is well, that everyone is doing very well. All right, here we go. Okay. All right. So we continue with it being Mental Health Awareness Month, which May is. And I pray that you're taking this time to reflect and work on some areas that you need work or help with. So allow me to formally introduce myself. I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, professional counselor, author, and educational consultant. Yeah, I wear a few hats. They're all interconnected. Everything that I do is designed to help people deal with the problems that they have. I work with young adults. I work with older adults, but mainly I work with women between the ages of 35 and 70. And you may say, well, why that particular group? Well, personally, excuse me, personally, it's the group that when I was a different me, that was my target when I was out, just wilding out. So one of the things that I do as a way to give back is to now try to help that same group of women who men like I used to be zero in on and try to make some very big mistakes. But first and foremost, to everybody dealing with a passing, my condolences. There's been a lot of passings, and I just saw another young lady on my page today. Shout out to LA and the passing of her husband Kevin. And I don't know about anybody else, but when somebody passes that I know or knew, excuse me, I have to keep it in a proper sense, that I've been in their presence, whether I knew them super personally or just in passing. It bothers me to know that they're no longer on this planet, especially when they're in the same age range as myself. And I don't know about anybody else, but anytime somebody that's in my age range goes, it bothers me because it brings to light our own humanity. And death always reminds us that we're not superhuman, that we're not bulletproof, and we're not superheroes, and that we all have an expiration date. We just don't know when. And I think that's what scares us more than anything else, is that when we see or hear about the passing of somebody that we knew, it automatically brings it closer to home. So my condolences to LA. Also, my condolences to the family of Kevin Samuels. I don't know Kevin Samuels personally, but I know that there's a family or someone hurting for him not being here. I get that. And with that said, what we have noticed, especially in communities of color. Now, let me just preface this by saying this right here, right now. I am not, have never been a Kevin Samuels fan. If I watched any of his content, it was to learn how I can counter a lot of what he did in terms of how he spoke to people. And so, Brother Jose, good morning, my brother. And so, because, yeah, he may have said some things that were truthful, but I look at the delivery. And as an educator, as a person who has stood in front of a classroom and still continues to stand in front of people to teach or to offer some type of understanding to something, I have a problem when you think the way of doing it is by insulting one so the others can get it. I get it, and I understand it. So this is not a video to slam Kevin Samuels or to big him up. No, I am not and have never been a fan. But the problem that But one of the things that I'm noticing and have been paying attention to is what his death triggered. And there's teachable moments here, mental health moments that we could actually talk about and should talk about. Quite a few. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's too many. One of the glaring ones that I hope people are paying attention to as information about Brother Samuels comes out is that he may not have been living the truth, as he put it. But what people don't understand, I think they do, but I think they tend to ignore it. We pay so much attention to what someone puts out on social media, what they portray on social media, what they give, what they create, that we don't actually stop and go, I don't know anything about this person. And I'm going to tell you why this is super real. On TikTok, I have had people reach out to me for counseling. Now, hear me. And one of the first things they want to talk about is, this person on TikTok did this to me. And I'm listening, and it's my job. And I'll say, but do y'all really know each other? And they'll go, no, I've never met him. But she responded this way, or he responded this way on my video. And then they did a video on their page. And I said, okay, so just block them and move on. And it's almost like they were struggling with the idea of the disconnect. And I'm like, whoa. And here's the thing. With Kevin Samuels, I have no beef with him. He let you know what he was about. He told you in how he conducted his business. But what he taught us was that we are damaged as people, especially brothers and some sisters. Actually, brothers and sisters. I'm just going to keep it very real. Because he was not the issue. What he did and how he did it was not the issue. It was the people that clung to him. It was the women that came to get abused, knowing they were going to get abused. It was the men that clung to what he was saying, but just ignored how he did it. Promoted the things that he said, but never addressing the verbal abuse that was being handed out. And all along, we're finding out that he may not have been the very thing that he portrayed. But that's not shocking to me, because I say that all the time, that until you actually get to talk to somebody offline, you don't know who you're speaking to. I say this all the time. There's people in my circles right now. Actually, there's people on the fringes of my circles. Let me just say that, because I have made sure to clean my circles out. There are people on the fringes of my circles that if you ever actually found out who they were personally, you would be shocked. There are some people that if you ever found out who they were personally, and as a counselor, I will never divulge what I know. It's not what I do. But I can tell you that if you ever found out who they were personally, you would be shocked. Because I think what happens is, too often, we don't stop and consider that social media is a public arena. Even though it has many tentacles, even though it reaches out in a lot of different ways, it is a public situation, whether it's Facebook, IG, TikTok. Makes no difference. It's public. And unless you make your stuff private and vet the people that come into your arena, why are you complaining that people are not who they claim to be? Brother Samuels started out trying to help men. His original YouTube page, it didn't work. He rebranded himself and he chose this pathway, and he actually let you in on a lot of the things that he was doing. He would tell you. He would say, when I tried to do it this way, y'all wasn't rocking with it, so I'm doing this way. Then he would also tell you, if Simon Cowell and Chef Ramsay can be disrespectful, why can't I? Y'all don't say nothing to them. He didn't say the way I do it is wrong. He said, why y'all coming at me when y'all don't come at the Caucasian man who are doing some of the same things. So he was already telling you that he had his situation in place. And this is the thing. This is why he's showing us that we need professional mental health support. He fed a market raw meat, and they reacted to it, still reacting to it in death. That's how you know he had tapped into something serious. That folks are literally doing shows on social media about a man that's no longer here. But here's also the problem. Have you noticed that the larger media is not even talking about this? That this is not a real story? That actually shows you how damaged we are. We're fighting as people of color, my black and brown folks. We're fighting to be king of the mud puddle, but we're never actually looking at the pond, the stream, or the ocean. We're not looking to try to be kings of that. We're fighting over who was the king of the mud puddle and having long debates and arguments. I'm looking at some of the folks on TikTok, and they're literally going in, and the sisters are going in, and the brothers are going in. Why? Why did this man stir up all this in us? So much so that in his death, some folks are celebrating. And don't act like you're not celebrating. I love how people go, I'm not celebrating his death, but at the same time, you get what you put out there. It's foolishness. And just like other brothers, like, I don't care. He was the truth. He was a God. He was our father. Really? Really? The man gave off effeminate vibes and was disrespectful to women, and he's your father? All right. All that says to me is that we're broken in a lot of areas, broken in ways that should be fixed, broken in ways that should be addressed. And the fact that a man who made money disrespecting women, I don't care what you say, I don't care though, he wasn't disrespectful. I mean, he gave back the energy he got. No, he didn't. Stop it. Did you actually watch his whole show? Because you might only watch the clip. And in the clip, he said, stop it. Yes, I watched. I'll give you an example of how he sets the funnel up for you to come through to get your head chopped off. When you come on, he's cordial. Hello. What you got for me today? And then you get into whatever you're saying. He goes, how old are you? How much you weigh? What do you do? What he's doing, he's priming the pump. He's putting you in the position that's going to lead you to where he is in complete control the whole time. So if you answer his question of how old are you, he already has a selected set of terms he's going to hit you with. The minute you tell him your weight, he has a selected set of terms he's going to hit you with. And if you refuse to play the game, if you go, I'm not telling you how old I am, and I'm not telling you how much I weigh. Oh, we don't play that S over here. Click. And then he insults you after he has dispatched you, because that feeds the people watching. Now, if you come in and you acquiesce, yes, sir, I'm 36. I'm 242 pounds. Oh, you as big as a linebacker. Okay, so what do you want? And then he'll take something that may be truthful. How do you, on this level, want to get a man on this level when you're whatever, which may be truthful, but there's no teaching going on. It's insulting. And yes, for you men that go, but he does the same thing to men, that don't make it okay. See, what I don't understand is why we were so vestedly interested in him. Why did we commit so much energy to him? But then I realized we're broken. Broken people search out broken people. Hurt people search out hurt people. And then, and this is what it's called, now please pay attention. In grad school, I learned charismatic leadership. It is actually a term. Charismatic preaching. Charismatic leadership is the type of leadership where a person's charismatic behavior, you saw it with Donald Trump, weighs on people in a way that they literally forego the things that are actually true because they're caught up in the way a person delivers the message. You see it in folks who are the firebrands, the folks who are the type of leaders who can get you so riled up to the positive and to the negative. And then that becomes power. When studying different types of ministry or ministry leaders, charismatic leadership was one of them. The pastor who can get into the box and blow the roof off the church. Well, that power becomes addicting or intoxicating, and now you can get people to do whatever you want. So here's a 2-time divorced image consultant who has a degree in, I think it was computer systems or something along those lines. So he never actually said, I have any formal education or experience in relationships. And folks gobbled it up because he was charismatic. That is the problem. That is what he uncovered for us. I'm not mad at the brother. I think the sad part is now that he's gone, I honestly didn't know who he was until last week. Couldn't pass judgment because I've never watched him, but just seeing the comments from others made me know that not to look for my own mental health. No, you should. You should look, Michelle, because you want to see what it is that created such a reaction in people. And that's actually one of the things that helps us. And this is what Michelle said, in case you guys can't see the chat. That actually helps us to see what it is. Often we'll go, I don't want to look at it. Well, that's what a lot of these charismatic leaders want. Trump wants you not to pay attention to him. Kevin Samuels wanted you not to pay attention to him because he knew his base and he was going to feed his base. And then he also knew that people that hated what he said was going to show up too. It was all a great trick. And it's one that's tried, true, and tested. It works. Attack your target audience with so much fervor that they're lathered up. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, KS. That's what I'm talking about. And then the haters of that show up too. And when done correctly, you get your haters to deal with your people, let them fight it out, and you sit back and rake in the views, rake in the money. And if it starts to dial down again, all right, let's go to the calls. Hello. Hi, Kevin. And your name? How old are you? I'm 32. You have children? 3. Where's their father? Or do they have multiple fathers? Yes, I have two men that I've had children with. Why didn't you marry them? So he's, again, funneling you, or the person calling, into where he wants them to then do what he wants to do. See, that's all tricks. And it works. It works out tremendously. Because then some people call because they're going to be the one. Sisters call, very intellectual sisters call and go, oh, no, I'm not letting this clown get away with this. Well, you can't get at a clown who has the magic button. And he tells you this. The funny thing is he didn't hide what he was doing. Oh, we don't do that crap over here. Click. And then he insults you. Now, I did see one interview, and I wish I could find it. It was a sister from Jamaica. She actually took control of his show. She didn't react to the rocks that he was throwing in the water. And when she started firing back intellectually by paying him compliments, you could see that he was uneasy because he was dealing with the intellectual superior. He was dealing with a woman who was super calm, and she did not give into any of the foolishness and didn't go down the pathway that he wanted her to go. When he said, how old are you? She said, 38. But she first came in and said, oh, I'm sorry, Kevin, I just came from working out. Now, let me tell you why that was diffusing to him. It automatically took off the table when she gives her weight. Well, she's already said she's addressing it. So he said, how old are you? She said, 38. And he said, how much do you weigh? She said, currently, I think she said 178. She says, but by the time I'm done, I'll be back at 150 because this is what I do. So again, you can't attack her size when she's already addressing something that she knows is an issue for her. Then he said, okay, why are you on? And he said, why are you on? And she started explaining about something that they were talking about. And then she said, but may I ask you a question? And she started to promptly tear apart the piece that he was talking about. And he started to realize that he was outmatched. So he started trying to change the subject. And he said, yeah, but what about this? What he wasn't prepared was that she had an answer for everything that he offered. And Tiff and I were sitting and listening, and he was throwing everything that he could. But then when he finally found a little small piece that he could cling to, he just kept repeating it. And she's like, well, I don't have any other answer. I already answered that. I don't know what you want me to tell you. She would not engage the way he wanted. And here's the problem. If he becomes disrespectful and just cuts her off, then he actually becomes what all his haters said he was. So now he's already said, I don't spew hate. I just give back what I give. Well, the woman is giving intellectual conversation. The woman is giving respect. The woman is having a diatribe. So if your words are true, you have to have this diatribe with her. And he tried to. And for 12, I think I counted 12 minutes, she took control of the situation. And then eventually he was like, okay, well, I thank you for coming in. And I was like, that's a whole different dude. Also, what you have to pay attention to, and this is again why you have to look at and pay attention to the people that you're dealing with. I will give him a few minutes of rant in my head. I was just shocked. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you need to, because it's always good to have an understanding of why people are doing the things that they're doing, Michelle. Because there are people rejoicing his death, but I don't have an issue with that. Hey, good morning, Tina. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you. I don't have a problem with people rejoicing his death because I know people are hurting. I know people are in such a bad way that they think it's okay to rejoice in the death of somebody. Death is final. That's it. There's no coming back. And you're speaking to a ghost at that point. But if you're speaking about it because you're trying to help teach, like I don't talk about it. There's no reason to talk about it because I wasn't a fan. When I have mentioned some things about it, it is to point out things that I can talk about that helps teach other people, to talk to other people. I ain't got time to sit around and talk about who the man was and wasn't. I want to be able to show where the areas are that we need help in. And I'll give you another example why we can't believe everything that we see when somebody presents what they present is that Kevin wasn't in any major markets. He created a pathway for himself. Respect. I respect anybody who sets out to do what they do for themselves and carve out a way to make money. I got that. He wasn't in no major markets, but he started to connect with major creators and influencers on social media. But the one thing I can tell you, and this is what I would say to anybody, when you look up interviews of Kevin Samuels, listen to interviews away from his show. When he is on interviews with other people, especially men, he didn't act the same way. He was very intellectual. He gave very poignant answers because he knew that wasn't his platform. The man was not stupid. The man understood, and he would actually talk about it. I think he was on with a comedian, and when he was explaining to the comedian about how the algorithms work and how we as people of color need to be able to finagle those algorithms, he was on point. Fantastic. When he was on the Joe Budden's podcast, that's a great interview to look up. When he was on Joe Budden's podcast, he wasn't going to come into that environment and try to punk it. So he just used his intellect. When he was on Adam, I think what the dude's name is, Adam something on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel. When he was on there, the guy was asking, like, well, why do people hate you? And he's like, well, it's the way I do X, Y, and Z. And when I see that type of mindset shift, when you can code switch the way he does, then you know that it's a game. But what Kevin Samuels exposed is that we need help. When you look at a lot of the women that called in, if you can get past the treatment, a lot of these women were calling in because they wanted answers. They wanted to understand why do men act the way they do. He came up with the term high value man. And the funny thing was, what I thought was interesting, which I couldn't understand why people couldn't see through that, he keeps saying high value, but equating it to money. And all of us knows that values have nothing to do with finances. We all know that. But he was so adamant and convincing about his position that he convinced people to not only repeat it, to actually think it was a thing. High finances does not equal high value. It's not that difficult. It's very simple. You've been saying it for years, all of us. Money don't make the woman. Money don't make the man. We say that every day, all the time. But yet we could not see through that. High values are the set of beliefs that you have. A high value person does not have to have a large amount of money. We as people of color have seen that our whole lives. That's some of the most valuable people in our community who emit the type of values that we want to see in our children, in ourselves, or sometimes in the lowest forms of service. We have seen this. But again, it shows you the power of charisma. When a charismatic leader takes to the platform and sounds convincing and sounds like the authority, and yes, it's narcissism, super narcissism, but it fed particular people. You see this right now in the country with Trump, where they literally put a mic in front of some of the Trump supporters and say, what about this? Oh, no. And they came up with a term for it, fake news, high value man, fake news. You need a moniker. You need a term to lean on. And then you don't waver. Even when the attacks come, even when they say you're no good, you don't waver. And you know what happens? People stay. People start to drink the Kool-Aid. Now, that term that I just said, drink the Kool-Aid, right? Well, one of the negative charismatic leaders on the planet, Jim Jones. Jim Jones convinced people, intelligent people at that, white and black, to sell their homes, fly to Grenada with him, live in a compound, and then he even told the married men, you can't sleep with your wife, but I can. And they bought into this, thought he was some type of holy figure, some type of deity, only in the end to face bullets or cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. So when we hear the term, they drank the Kool-Aid, it is because he said to all his followers, they're going to come break up our family. We're not going to allow that. So we're all going to commit suicide together. And he convinced women and children and fathers to drink cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. And the ones that didn't, they shot him. Because this man was crazy. Because this man was considered a charismatic leader. It's actually in the research books. It's actually in my grad books, studied about him. And that's something that we have to understand, is that we're fragile emotionally. Many of us have been through some past experience with leaders that were supposed to take care of us, parents who were supposed to take care of us, people who were supposed to love us, and they abused us. They hurt us. Men and women that we dated, that we loved, that we married, that we thought was going to be everything that they needed to be. I have a Jim Jones survivor in my neighborhood. Oh, my heart goes out to him. Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. So what happens? And we saw the same thing in Waco, Texas with David Koresh. He was actually walking around telling people that he was Jesus, and people believed it. So much so that when it was time to commit mass suicide, they was okay with it. So the question becomes, how do we as people allow ourselves to get to the point that somebody could make us do something that we know is wrong? And how do we fix that? How do we fix that? See, that's what Kevin Samuels has exposed to the world. I'm not worried about all the rhetoric. Listen, death always triggers some weird emotions. Death always triggers grief, fear, excitement. Death creates a lot of feelings in us. Why do you think we have actual grief counselors? Why, when there's a shooting, they bring in professionals like myself and others to talk to the children, to talk to the parents? Because death creates some weird emotions that's very hard to get past. And so this man's death, and then the way that he died. And now as the stories come out, so people are attacking the woman that he was with. Last night I saw it myself on a live where somebody said she didn't do all that she could do to save his life as a nurse. How can you say that not being there? When if you listen to the 911 call, she is frantic. She is saying, I'm here. I helped him get back to breathing, but he's turning blue. I need some help. How do you know that woman didn't do everything that she needed to do? And then no one is saying, what about her mental state? What about the fact that she was getting with somebody? She's being adult. I don't care if it's a one-night stand. They're adults. But to have somebody die on you that you were about to get into something sexually or was into something sexually, and to have some person die on you that you barely know, do you understand what that does to you emotionally? But we ain't considering that because we've gotten to a point in this country right now or in the world, we don't care about the emotional stability of the people around us. We don't care if we're hurting other people. We don't care about people's feelings. There's even a song, F your feelings. Actually, songs, F your feelings. So the bigger question is, how do we fix it? Well, this is where I come in. And I can't fix the world, and nor do I try. But what I do is I try to help those who reach out to me. I help those who turn to me and say, Keith, I need help. I work with churches to build mental health ministries so they can figure out a way to help their people, whether it's through me or through somebody else. I go to schools like today. I got to go to my after school program. I help young men to try to not make the mistakes that I made when I was younger. I work with the federal government, the ATF. Yes, I counsel ATF agents and their members to help them deal with the problems that they have. This Saturday, the 14th, I'm doing a presentation on triggers. The 27th, I'm doing a presentation. No, the 14th, I'm doing a presentation on blended families. On the 24th, I'm doing a presentation on triggers, how to identify them, how to deal with them, with the ATF and with a church in Maryland, High Point, as a High Point, I think. High Point, I think, is a church. But I'm doing what I can to help those that are in need because I can only do what I can do while still keeping my own mental straight. I was emotional this morning because I was just come across things. That's one thing. I am an emotional dude. And when I see things, I get emotional. I got to take a couple minutes to cry. I'm okay with crying. Men, please hear me. And ladies, share this with any man who needs to hear it. Men, please listen to me. There's nothing soft about crying. I cry all the time. And then I get myself together. I pray to God, and then I keep it moving. My relationship with God allows me to cry because I'm okay, because I'm human. And we're supposed to cry when we're hurt. We're supposed to cry when we hurt. Do you hear me, men? Stop thinking that tucking it inside, that you're soft if you're crying. Stop that. And see, this is part of the damage that Kevin Samuels put out there. He spoke to some of these same men who were never taught how to deal with themselves, who were taught that their $40,000 or $50,000 a year is not enough because you can't afford certain women. Here's the sad part, and Kevin knew this. Kevin was 56 years old. Me and him was in the same age group. He knew that there's women out there that as long as you're taking great care of them physically, spiritually, and emotionally, they ain't worried about the money. He knew that. But he also knew there was a whole gamut of chicks out there who only can see the Michael Kors bags, the Birkin bags, and the Balenciagas and everything else. He knew that. We all do. We've seen those chicks and those dudes. It's not new, especially in the communities of color. We see this every day. He just gave voice to it. So again, I'm not mad at the man. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant business strategy. But what he showed us is the damage. And I try to fix that damage like this by going live. This is going to be been shown on Facebook now, but it'll be on my YouTube page, as well as counseling. Counseling. I went back to school to get a second master's degree. I already had a master's degree in education. I was a teacher for over 20 plus years, and I'm still teaching. But I went back to get a master's degree in counseling, human service counseling, and specialized in Christian ministry because I knew back in 2014 that why isn't the church doing more? So instead of blaming the church for not doing more, I put myself in a position to help the church do more. You see how that works? Stop pointing fingers and get to work. And now when you come to the table, be able to show somebody how to fix it. That's what Kevin did from his own warped position. And now as the truth comes out, we realize that he was not, or may not have been, let me just say that because I don't know the truth. He may not have been the very thing they was portraying. And if he is not, if it turns out that he is a bust, if it turns out that he's broke, like some people are saying, if it turns out that his mom has a GoFundMe out right now to bury him, all of those things turn out. And we know he was with a sister of size, she was thick. So the very big chicks he was railing on, he was humping. But we've all seen that. And put a 1 in the chat. I'm sorry for not acknowledging you guys in the chat more. Put a 1 in the chat if we have seen dudes in the streets say one thing about women, and then we know secretly they sneaking and knocking down the same chicks. Put a 1 in the chat. That's what I'm talking about, Jose. Jose said, I cry all the time. I cry all the time. I'm an emotional person. I let my tears flow, and I'm not ashamed. My brother, that's what I'm talking about, because I'm the same way, bro. And the beautiful thing is, as you get older, you're going to realize those tears are needed to just get out the foolishness. Thank you for putting the 1 up, Jose. And to everybody else, put a 1 up if we know men and women. We just not going to leave it on the men. But people who come out, oh, I can't stand fat dudes. I can't stand fat chicks. I can't deal with dark-skinned chicks. Oh, my God, she's an albino? Not all of that. And then they turn around, and on the low, who they sleeping with? Who they messing with? And I can tell you for true, because I used to travel in a lot of the BBW circles from 1998 to 2006. I was a fixture in BBW circles. Everybody knew who I was, because I've always been a fan of full-figured women. Always have been. So you know how many dudes be like, yo, how you go to them fat girl parties, man? Yo, them fat chicks, all of that, right? Okay. Every weekend there was a party. Who you find slithering up in there? Some of these same dudes who was talking junk and chubby chasing on the low. Why? And as one dude told me, yo, they easy to go to bed with, bro. They don't have options. That's what you think. You think the sisters here don't have options? Okay. But unfortunately, here's what would happen. There was enough women who felt like they had no options, slept with those men, which then made it difficult for sisters who did have options. See, that's the Kevin Samuels thing. He knows. Or he knew, excuse me. We don't know anything now. We don't know what he knows right now. But he knew that no matter what finger he pointed at, whatever brand of female that he pointed it at, he was going to find men that was going to support his thinking. And he knew that people were going to react to it. He knew. And big girls are always an easy target. Easy. That is one of the reasons why I defend women between the ages of 35 and 70. Because when I was out in these streets running around wild, I was making women my targets too. So I know exactly what Kevin was doing, because I was a manipulator. And one manipulator knows another one. One shark knows another shark. Because sharks ain't out here attacking each other unless they ain't got no choice. So some of you really got to ask yourself, why was I capping for Kevin Samuels, and what does that say about me that I didn't have a problem with the way that he targeted people? I'm not mad at you if you liked what he said. Why were you okay with the way that he said it? Why were you okay that the information came at the expense of somebody else's personal feelings? Why were we okay with that? Why were there not enough women saying, well, there's a ton of women who were. Why were there women that were co-signing to what he was saying? How he was saying it? Why weren't there enough men saying, bruh, I hear what you're saying, but you ain't got to talk to women that way? And here's the crazy part. And this is what, again, all this exposure is connected to something. It is connected to emotional damage. It is connected to a poor spiritual base. It is connected to poor physical self-image. Derek Jackson sat in a car with muscle shirts on and gave you all the eye candy in the world. Telling men, telling women everything that they wanted to hear, being everything that a lot of women wanted to hear. And the whole time he was out disrespecting his wife to no end. And even in some cases, doing the videos about men to women outside his Sneaky Links apartment. Multiple times. Multiple times. But yet, because we had the physical, he tapped into the emotional, we never addressed the spiritual. And even after he came clean, and first of all, I don't trust anybody who speaks of themselves in the third person. I don't. That's just me. That's a personal thing. I don't trust anybody who goes, well, you know, Keith is just one of the best counselors on the planet, you know, and Keith is just that dude. Aren't you, Keith? Yes. So for all you go, that's Brother Umar. Yeah. Brother Umar Johnson. He talks about himself in the third person, and I have an issue with anybody who speaks about themselves like they are sitting in the room with themselves. That's just me. But here, Derek Jackson was sitting outside his Sneaky Links apartment, having just done some nasty things or about to. Now, here's the thing that I can tell you. I'm going to let you in from a whore's perspective. That's not new. Nasty brothers have been calling while inside the Sneaky Link. Physically, yes. Men will call their wives and their girlfriends while butt naked laying next to the chick that they are humping. And some men are so vile, they will call while humping and tell her, shh, don't say nothing. Really, bro? You couldn't just go in the other room? And how do I know that? Because I've done it. So yes, men and women are vile. Men and women do nasty things. Men and women have some issues emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Kevin Samuels understood that. And he parlayed it into a position to make money. Now, what cost him his life? I don't know. We'll hear all the rest of it. I do know those Red Bulls could not have been well, and I'm going to tell you why. And I said this to Tiff, too. I had mentioned that one time. I was like, yo, he drank entirely too much Red Bull, because I'll drink Red Bull when I'm driving or long distance if I'm tired, but I cannot drink more than one in a week. I don't touch them anymore, because I didn't like the way it was making me feel after the fact. And I would get the smaller can too, because I got the larger can, and Lord, I was getting headache. I literally felt like, yo, this don't feel right. And this brother, every episode had it. And I can honestly tell you what's in there on a regular basis. And actually, if you ever look up what's in the energy drinks, it's debilitating to the internal system, but that's a separate thing. I'm not a doctor, so we'll learn what happened. But I know he's a cancer survivor. And anytime you're a cancer survivor, you don't want to put your internal workings to the test for too long. It'll have problems. So again, my condolences to his family. But the point that I'm making, guys, is Kevin Samuels taught us that we have more problems than we really want to accept. And now, how do we fix it? Because what I'm noticing is that we're going back to our corners. And this is the Trump effect, by the way. We're going back to our corners and we're not listening to each other. You have Kevin Samuel supporters yelling and screaming about how you celebrating his death. You have Kevin Samuel haters who's like, I don't care. I'm celebrating his death. You have people in between who's like, I don't really care, or I don't know anything about him. And everybody is spaced out into their corners. Well, I come to the middle and say, just like I just said to Sister Michelle, go and look and see what he was. You ain't got to watch that many shows. Just watch one. You'll be like, oof. But watch the whole thing, though. People will take clips. And I learned that when back in 2007, when I had the situation with my daughter and I turned her into the police. And if you don't remember that, okay. I knew when I made that decision what the long-term implications were going to be. I knew. But I also knew I walk into a school every day and tell children to do what's right. So how am I now going to turn my back and act like I didn't see my daughter commit a crime? Half of the city commended me. The other half said I was a snitch and a horrible father. I have to accept it all. In the end, my daughter grew to hate me. and we very rarely talk. She's 32 now. And I get it. But all I can do is pray for her. Have I apologized? Now, I don't apologize for making her accountable to what she did. I don't apologize for that. And I can't go back and undo what I didn't do when she was younger. All I could do is apologize that it happened. I can't go back and fix that. I can be who I am now and be here for you now if you want me to. But she's grown. And so if she chooses, which she has chosen, not to allow me into her and my grandson's life, there's nothing I can do. So to the men watching me, please understand this. And let me say this. The Bible says the wages of sin is death. God never said what type of death. Yes, there's physical death, but there's death of your peace of mind, death of your finances, death of your social status, death of relationships. So please understand that when you sin, when you commit sin and knowingly embrace sin, the death that you may suffer could be a lifetime, and you have to hold on to that. And so for my oldest son and my oldest daughter who have made the choice that they don't really want to be bothered with me, I accept that. I pray for them and I have released them. I have apologized to both of them, but my son, I didn't even know he was my son until he was 26 years old. And I don't know if he's ever dealt with that, but him not wanting a relationship with me, I understand. I can't make you have one. And I can't become what you want me to become. I can only be who I am and have open conversations with you. And we can learn each other. But if you don't choose to, it's okay. So men, please listen to me. When you have made your mistakes and you owned them, and you have apologized to their mothers, and you have apologized to them, please understand that one of the choices may be, I don't want to have anything to do with you as my father. And you have to hold that. That is the death that you embraced the minute that you went out here to sin. Okay? Now, whether you believe in God or not, that is your choice. Has nothing to do with that for me. Because the relationship part of it is that as they grow, they're going to form their own thoughts about the past. They're going to form their own thoughts about their relationship or lack thereof. And they are going to make a decision. And you have to be okay with that. Do I like it? Nope. Do I accept it? Yep. Because there's nothing I can do. But be who I am now. Keep that light on. Keep that door open. And like the prodigal son for all my Christian folks, when he returns or when she returns, just love him for as much time as you have. And if you are taken before you have a chance to fix it, that's why you say your prayers and ask that the Lord cover them while you're not present. Even ask them to bring them somebody else to cover them in your place. Yes, men, you have to be okay with another man stepping in and raising your child if the relationship is just done in. And ladies, you have to be okay if you've messed up and your children don't want to have anything to do with you. There's no book that says you have to allow a person back into your life after they hurt you. You should forgive them, yes. But it doesn't mean that you get to rewrite the story. You don't. You have to hold on to what it is. So Michelle says, that's a tough spot. I made a conscious choice to build a relationship with my father during the last 7 years. Let me put it here. That's a tough spot. I made a conscious choice to build a relationship with my father during the last 7 years of life, but I do not condemn my siblings for not doing the same. I had to pray and fast to get there. Yes. Amen. And that's where I am, Michelle. I have 3 children. I have 7 children. Let me just say that. I have 7 children. My oldest 2, I don't have a relationship with. Not a real relationship. They know I'm here, and we've talked briefly. And actually, if you go to my YouTube page, you can see the interview I did with each one of them. But in that time, my daughter has lost her grandmother. Years ago, she lost her grandfather, then her grandmother. She lost my grandmother. My mother was lost in 2020, and she lost her mother last year. And even with all of that, when I reached out to offer my condolences, she actually reached out to me to tell me that her mom passed. But when I offered my condolences, no response. When I reached out to check and see was she okay, no response. Sent her a message on social media, no response. I left it alone. And I just said to her, if you need me, I'm here. And so she has no interaction with her sister. And I know Tiff has reached out to her a couple of times. And I don't put the weight on her. I understand it. And it's okay. Whether I like it or not, if that's her position, I respect it. And that's another thing, ladies and gentlemen, that's watching or whenever you watch this, please understand is you cannot force a relationship. You cannot force a person to heal because you're healed. Because I'm in a good place or a better place with me, that doesn't mean that the people I hurt are. So I don't criticize, say anything negative. I don't say anything negative about my children. I don't say anything negative about their mothers. Rest in peace to the mother that's no longer here and to the other two. I don't say anything negative about them. I don't say anything negative about my ex-wife. I don't say anything negative about the people that in my life at one point I hurt or hurt me. It gains nothing. I just simply forgive them and move on. And I do understand why some children do not want to come because a person is dying. Some children actually say good for you. The thing that bothers me is that their sister loses out. KL loses out. They could actually connect with KL and talk to her and let her know that her siblings are there. You lose out on a grandchild not being able to see his grandfather. You lose out on when my mother and grandmother passed, that, you know, the young lady that I don't get to see, and I said there's 3 that I don't get to see. Courtney, who's 25 now. She never got to meet her grandmother and great-grandmother. She's never had a chance to meet her sister. She's never had a chance to meet me, and she chose not to. And the oldest daughter told her, like, yeah, we share the same father. Didn't move her at all. And I understand it. I get it. Her life didn't connect to mine. So I don't just get to walk in because I choose to. Please, men and women, understand this. When you screw up, when you're out here being a whore, and you're out here being nasty, you're out here doing drugs, you're out here doing whatever it is that separated you from your children, you don't get to just walk back in their life because everything is good for you now. Please understand that. Please, if you don't understand anything else, thank God you cleaned yourself up. Thank God you're doing great. I am happy to hear all of that. But your children and your ex, male or female, do not have to let you in if you hurt them. And you cannot get mad if somebody else has stepped in to help them when you had that opportunity. You cannot praise that person as long as they're not hurting that person. So please understand what I'm saying. These are the things that I deal with as a counselor. So if anything that I said today moved you to the point that you need to speak to somebody professionally, reach out. My link is right here, but it's also in my bio. If you need to speak to me, the call is free. The first call is always free because I don't know if I can actually help. I have to hear your story first. All my information is in my link tree. And if you need to click it, it's in my bio. It's in my bio. Every day I'm counseling somebody. I counseled 3 people last night. I got 3 people to counsel today, as well as I got to go to the after school. I got 2 meetings today as well. So I'm busy all day. And I pretty much go hard Monday through Friday. I try not to work on the weekend because I want to spend that time with KL and with Tiff and some time to myself. But I'm here. And that's all I can do is carve out my space in this world and offer what I can offer through my business. And quietly and secretly, I pray that the Lord just grants me enough time to try to make amends for all the damage that I've done. That's why anytime I hear about people dying early, it scares me because I know I've sinned. And just like in Psalms 51, if you've never read it, when David says, Lord, forgive me, for the only person I have sinned against is you. I so understand what David was saying. And you need to read the rest of Psalms 51. One of my favorite verses, by the way. First 21 verses in that is David basically begging the Lord not to take the Holy Spirit from him. I understand it. I lived that life. I beg for clarity. Lord, keep my mind clear so I can help folks. And then I ask for time. Lord, grant me the time to help people with what you've allowed me to understand. So yes, that is part of my prayers. I'm letting you in on some of my prayer life. I pray for clarity of mind and I pray for time to help. It's not about me. I gave my life away a long time ago the minute I decided I was going to embrace evil. And the minute that I decided that, Lord, you're going to be the focus, now the goal is to try to just hang in there for as long as I can. But it's not about my life. It's about what I can do with it. Who can I serve with it? So if you need help, right there is the link. I'm not shy to have a conversation about whatever. You can share with me whatever you did. I don't care if you was a drug addict, prostitute. I don't care, brothers, if you was a porn star. I don't care if you was gay on the low. I don't care what it is. Let's talk. Because the biggest thing that I am going to ask you, what is it that you want? I ask every client that I work with, what is it that you want? Because if what you want is something I can't help you with, I'm going to tell you right up front. But what is it that you want? And then the very next question, what are you ready to do? See, I've always been an honest dude, sometimes to the point that it was reckless, because not all honesty needs to be shared with people who can't take it in. You do more damage by being honest with them. I learned that when I was becoming an HIV counselor. They said when you ask somebody, are you ready to get tested? And they say yes. You say, what would you do if you found out you were positive? And the person said, man, I'm going out and beat up everybody, or I'm going out to bite people. I'm going out and fill a vial with blood and just start stabbing people. You go, then you don't need to get tested. What are you talking about? You're not ready. And I've understood that and I've held on to that. And now as a professional counselor, my questions are very easy at the beginning. What do you want? And what are you prepared to do to get it? Because I can't do the work for you. I can help you, I can plan with you, and I can hold you accountable by reminding you what you said you wanted. But the crazy part is I've had people ghost me as a counselor, and I know why they do. And I don't stress, believe it or not. Let me tell you something. I don't have my people call, hey, you Mr. Stretcher. No. And most time it's me, by the way. I have a virtual assistant that I use, but most time it's me making the calls and the text messages. I'll call, everything okay? Didn't see you for today's session. I listen to whatever they say and say, okay, do you want to reschedule? Here's the link. And I leave it alone. And then I may follow up, and I'll always send at least 3 messages. Yeah, 3 messages. After the third, I leave it alone because I don't want to trouble you when you've actually stated with your non-action that this is not what you want anymore. And it's okay. And I know it may be financially. I know it may be emotionally. I get it. Therapy can be expensive. I get it. Also, it can be emotionally expensive. I get it. I get it. But here's what I need you to do right now. And I don't know who I'm talking to that is watching me right now. Listen to me. My link is right here. If you are not happy with where you are right now, if you know you're holding on to pain from a parent or a loved one or somebody who hurt you, that's not normal to hold on to that. That's not normal to go, I'm good. We say that, especially the brothers. We say I'm good when we're not. Sisters, you've been built to be strong. You don't have to be strong all the time and hold all that in. And I know some of you are going to say, but Keith, I don't have no choice. I have to. You don't understand. I do understand. Now might be the time for you to invest in you, to get some help, to talk to somebody who doesn't have the emotional connection, but understands, but I'm emotionally connected to what I do. I'm not emotionally connected to what you're going to bring to the table, but I'm emotionally connected in helping you. But I cannot help you if you don't reach out. I cannot help you if you stay quiet. I cannot help you if you embrace what you know to be painful and carry it along with you like it's okay. I can't do nothing with that. And so you guys know my hashtag. Remember that. We can fix this. We. You have to first come to the table. I'll meet you there. And then together, we'll figure out a plan of action to help you. I don't know who needed this today, but I pray that it helps. What I want you to do is I want you to like this post, because we got to get the algorithms on Facebook to let other people see it. And then I want you to share this. And I think I saw Pamela and Jose. Thank you for always sharing my stuff. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. I just appreciate you. Without question, you guys share everything that I put out. Don't think that it's not seen. I appreciate you and love you guys for what you do. But to everybody watching this, there's somebody on your page that needs to hear this. And that's how you help me. I can't reach everybody, but you can help me reach the people you know, which then expands my reach. And I will treat them with the same care and love that I would if I was treating you. But I can't do anything until they reach out. So again, let me just leave you with this before I go. There's my information. It's on the screen. All right. That's my Linktree link. In my Linktree link, it has the link for a discovery call. It also has all my links, all my social media links. It has my websites. It has everything. That is why it's on every one of my profiles, on every spot that I'm at. So before I close, let me just say this. God doesn't make mistakes. I know it may seem that way. I know that sometimes when we're in pain, we actually start to believe that mistakes happen. That's not true. It's not true. And I know it's hard. I never said it was easy. I may speak easy, but it's never easy. And it's never easy when the people that we love hurt us. And it's never easy to say I'm sorry, guys and young ladies. It's never easy to say I'm sorry. It's never easy to forgive. It's never easy to accept I'm sorry. It's never easy to rekindle a relationship. It's never easy to let a parent who wasn't there when you were younger in when you were older. It's never easy to go back to your children and to say, I'm sorry. I wasn't the father I was supposed to be. I'm sorry. I wasn't the mother I was supposed to be. I'm sorry. I wasn't the husband I was supposed to be. I'm sorry. I wasn't the wife I was supposed to be. I'm sorry. I wasn't the boyfriend I was supposed to be. I'm sorry. I wasn't the girlfriend I was supposed to be. I'm sorry. I was a wild child. I wasn't the child I was supposed to be. I get it. I get it. But once you get the chance, no doubt, Jose, I will. Once you get the chance, because let me tell you one thing. Here's what death does. Death seals the door shut forever. I can never say to my mom, I love you again. I can say it, but not to her. I can never say to my grandmother again, I love you. I can say it. She won't hear it. So when people are alive, you have the opportunity to try to fix something or to forgive them to them directly. And if they don't want it, okay, live with that. But live with the fact that you made an honest attempt. Let me tell you what's funny for me. I'm gonna end with this, and I know I keep saying that, but I am a person that once I've tried to help you, and I know God says we're supposed to forgive 77 times, 77 times. I got all of that. I get it, but I am not a saint. When I'm dealing with somebody who spits in my face when I'm trying to help them, I will try very hard to continue to help. But if you keep spitting in my face, at some point, I'm cutting you loose. And I will say, God, you got to send somebody else. This ain't for me. I can't. So unless God speaks to me directly and says, oh, no, brother, go back and help that dude. Go back and help that young lady. I go on to somebody else who needs help. And when I cut you off, I cut you clean off. Because I realize at this point, I can't save you from drowning. Because remember this, and all my lifeguards can jump in if you like. Rule number one is to keep yourself safe when you're trying to save somebody. And if the person is to the point that you trying to save them would drown you, you have to cut them loose. I give an honest attempt to help those who come. But if you don't want this, and you're going to do everything to do opposite what I'm offering, I'm going to cut you loose. Now, I'm going to be friendly. If you reach out, I'm going to say hello. I'm going to speak to you. But you're not the target anymore. Because the time wasting with you, there's somebody drowning and calling out for help that needs me. And it's a hard decision. That's why when people ask me, how can you be okay that you got grandkids out there that you don't see? Because I can't force their parents to allow me to see them. If their parents are okay with their grandfather not being in their life, what can I do? Force them? Why would I do that? And hurt the children? I pray. I pray that God softens their heart and allows them to see past their pain to allow me to see my grandchildren. And if the Lord takes me and I never get to see him, then I pray that whoever steps in helps them. Let them go. You're not taking me down with you. There you go, Jose. And I think you got to learn that, guys. You can only help someone who allows you to help them. And when somebody is adamantly telling you, I am not doing none of that, take a step back. You cannot force your way into somebody's life. You cannot force help upon someone. Even Jesus said to people, are you sure that's what you want? Are you sure? Sure you want to see? Sure you want to walk? It's not that he couldn't help them. He wanted them to make sure they were ready for what they were going to get. So, guys, I want you to have a wonderful day. I want you to have a good one. Jose, I'll definitely, as soon as I get a moment, I'll give you a call. But again, guys, listen to me. Please share this. And if you've never seen Kevin Samuels' videos, go ahead and watch it. From my understanding, his mother may need assistance with burying him. I don't know if that's true or not. But do this. Before you speak upon a dead man, if you've never watched a whole episode of his, watch it. Not worried about him getting views. He's no longer here. But watch it so you can make an honest or give an honest opinion after saying you've watched it. Don't just watch the clips. The clips are designed to cause you to be emotional. Pay yourself the respect of watching a whole episode and then draw your own conclusion. And then you decide if that's something that works for you in terms of what he said or just, I didn't really like it, Keith, whatever it is. But I want you to have a wonderful day. Have a blessed day. And to those of you that are suffering losses to the day, like I said, shout out to LA and the passing of Kevin. And the sad part is he just reached out to me about a month, 2 months ago, I think a month and a half ago. He just reached out to me and asked me about spots in Delaware that he was considering. And then I come on this morning and I see a post that he's no longer here. I don't like the way death makes me feel. But I know at the end of the day, people still need me to be me. So I give it its due, cry about it, and then I get back up like my grandmother taught me. Cry about it tonight and get your butt up and start living your life. So again, guys, have a wonderful one. Have a good one. All right. Appreciate you. Love you. If you need me, there's my information. Have a wonderful day, guys. God bless.